Hi, we'll be covering the second part about conditional statements, which would be the if else condition. Again, so if is going to mean the true part and else is the otherwise. So if something is true, so if something is true, do A, else do B. Okay, when we say else, we mean if this part fails. So if this is true, so this is the happy path, and if it fails, so I'm going to show it with red. Oh, it's yellow. If it fails, okay, so this one is the happy path, which is where this condition is satisfied. We follow these steps, otherwise we follow these steps. So that is the if else condition. So let's look at a simple example. A scenario, if we go to the restaurant, we normally have to tip our waiters, right? So let's write restaurant tip calculator. Okay, so let's write a little program that would calculate the tip. So this is going to be based upon the number of people in the party. So it could be a table of 4, 2, whatever it is. So depending on the size of the party, the tip's going to be accordingly determined. So let's think about the situation. If the number, let's call it n for just this example, if n is less than or equal to 2, we are going to, so this should become satisfied. If that is the case, the tip is going to be 10%. Okay, otherwise, that is the else part. So the next quiz, so this is going to be if n is between 2 and 6, the tip will be equal to 15%. The third situation is else if n is more than 6, we want to give the tip as 80%. So this is a simple problem that we want to implement using C#. So I've just this is not actual syntax of C#, what I've written here. I'm just giving you an idea of because some of this is in English. So this is just to give you an idea of what we are going to be doing when we go into the coding. So think about it always. So if this condition is true, whatever is under the if will work. If that is not true, we go to the else. Okay, and then we can start another if at this point. That is the if else, else if else. So we could start another if condition, or we could go just to else. So sometimes there's a situation where you just want to do a simple case. So let's think about a simple case. So for example, gender, right? If somebody is a male or female, okay, or if you are a veteran or not. You could have an example saying if you are an employee of the company, let's say try C or not. So these are all situations where you just need if condition and then else do something. Okay, if employee, so employee, if employee, then you do something, otherwise you do something else. So this is where you only have two options. In this situation here, we have multiple options. So we'll cover both of them. Either we have two options, so it's the same thing, we use the statement else. So either it is else with a condition where we add an if along with an else, or we just have an else by itself. Okay, so when we convert this into C sharp, this will be little, it'll look a little different than how I've written it here, but I just want you to think about it. Here is the code for the restaurant tip calculator. What I've done here is I have done the basic coding. No matter what kind of conditional statements we use, initially for any program to work, we need to have input basic setup done. So what I've done here is, you can see I have an input saying enter the number of members at the table. So I want to know how many people are at the table. So that is the number of party. I am storing it into a variable called numParty. Because number of people is going to be a whole number, I have defined this as an integer. Okay, so that is why I have it as an integer. And I have to do the conversion because readline does not return an integer, so I have to do the conversion. I've done that. The second input that I'm asking for is the total bill amount. So our 10% or 12% or whatever it is that we are going to calculate is going to be on the total bill amount. So we want to be able to say what is the tip amount, not just the percentage. So I'm asking that as an input. I'm storing it into a variable called bill amount. I've declared it as a double because a dollar value is definitely going to have decimal in it. So the bill amount could be 45, 99 or 32, 40, 45 or something like $32.45. So we want to make sure we accommodate for that, and that's why I have declared that. So after this, so I did this already, so we can save some time. So let us start coding. So let's put our placeholder. So there is an if condition, and then we can do an else if, and then we do an else. Okay, so we have three different scenarios, so I have put it like this. So let's start filling in. Let's look at this. Party has 2 or less people, recommended tip is 10%. The party, numParty, is less than or equal to 2. If that is the case, so I'm going to say the recommended tip is 10%. Let's look at the second thing. If the party has more than 6, is greater than 6, so I want to do 18%. So the third scenario is if it is not true, if it is not less than or equal to 2 and not greater than or equal to 6. So the other default option is here. So we don't have to say else condition here. That is not required because it's unnecessary. So we would just say else, and then we say that tip amount is going to be 15%. Okay, so that's how I'm displaying it now. So I want to actually calculate the bill amount, right? So when I want to calculate the bill amount, what I'm going to do is whatever is the tip amount, I'm going to store it so I'm just going to declare tip percent as 0 and set it here. So I'm going to say tip percent equal to 0.10. Sorry, it's a double. Okay, and then here it is going to be tip percent equal to 0.18, and then here tip percent is going to be 0.15. Just to clarify, 10% is 10 by 100. So 10 by 100 is 0.10. So similarly, 18% is 0.18, 15% is 0.15. So in order for us to get the actual bill value, all we have to do is tip amount equal to, let's say, double. This is third variable. So tip amount equal to bill amount times tip percent. So when we do this, we are going to be able to get the actual amount of tip that we have to give to the waiter. So let's do now console.writeLine. So here what we can do is we can say tip percent equal to, then I put 0, and then I can say tip amount equal to, I can give both here. So I can say tip percent tip amount. There. So we are going to run this code now. So again, to recap, we have if condition. If this condition is true, these lines will be executed. Otherwise, else, we are going to check for this condition. If this condition is true, these lines will be executed. If both of the above are false, then you will go through this. So an else does not need a condition here. Please remember that. So we don't want to I'm going to remove these statements now. I just want to write it once. I don't want it to be redundant. Let's just write the tip percent in the end. We don't have to do it in the middle. So this is just cleanup of code. Now let's run this code. Enter number of members at the table. So I want to test all the boundary conditions. So I want to test 2, I want to test 4, and I want to test 7. Okay, 2 members. Bill amount is going to be, I'm going to say $20. Always give a decimal value if it's a double, otherwise you will not know if there is an error there. Tip amount is 10%. Tip percentage is 10, which is correct. Tip amount is 2.05 because 20.5 divided by times 10% is going to be $2.05. Okay, so if we don't like that big number there, what we can do here is we can do a math.round. So we could do here, we can say math.round, and then, okay, let's do it here. So we can say tip amount equal to math.round, tip amount, comma 2. So what we say by this is we just want to round it to a 2 decimal place. Let's run this again. Two people, 20.5. There you go. That looks much nicer. What I would like to do is I would like to say this is going to be dollar and this is going to be a percentage, right? Nah, I leave the percentage as it is, but I want the dollar amount, so I'm saying that. Let's run this one more time. Two people, 20.5. That looks nice. So let's run this again. For the second if condition, party is greater than 6. So let's say there are 8 people in my party. Total bill amount is going to be 55.45. And let's see, the tip is going to be 18%. 55 times 10. 10 is $5. So it's about, yeah, that makes sense. So the 8 is close to $4, so that's the amount. Okay, and then we get the dollar sign. Good. So it's working through the second condition. Now we are at the third condition. Number of people at the table, it should be between 2 and 6. So it should be something like 4. Total bill amount I'm going to say is going to be $18.99. Tip amount is 15% and percentage, and then tip amount is 2.85. Yeah, that makes sense. So basically in this code we are able to see if, else if, and else. Again, it's all about if this condition is true, then execute code underneath. Otherwise, go for else, and then you can do another if. You could have multiple else ifs here. You could have 3 or 4 here if you want, depending on your situation. But then the final else will be the catch all. Okay, if you've missed anything, it's going to fall through this final else. I hope you find this video useful. Thank you.